Mm.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 110, Space and Technology. I'm here with my co-facilitator, Lionel.
Hello, everyone. How you doing today? How you doing today, Mike?
I'm good, brother. Yourself.
I am well.
All right, let's get started. If you want to follow along, the docket should be in the description. Actually, it's not in the description. Let me put that in there. I don't know why it's not in there.
Hope everyone's having a good day today. This Monday. Hmm.
It is in there. Why is it? Hmm, that's interesting. It's not showing up. Can you see? Can you see that in the
Let me check. One click. Uh,
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there.
okay.
We'll get started.
What's going on, Christian? How you doing today? What's going on, my hair? Yisrael? Yes, in there.
All right, this first one is from Forbes.com. Meet the Linux desktop that's more beautiful than Windows 10 and Mac OS. I hate these pop-ups, man. I really hate these pop-ups. As a fairly new desktop Linux user, distro hopping. I've been a distro hopping fanatic, exploring the functionality and key differences between the array of excellent options out there. While a forever distro is an ultimate goal, the journey has been exciting and educational. Recently, my Linux adventures led me to deepen an OS that captured my attention and boasts a few key ingredients I fell in love with. So this is just an image of. See if I can get a blown up image. No. Like many other Linux operating systems such as Ubuntu and elementary OS, Deepin is based on Debian, but Deepin is also a standalone desktop environment, meaning it's possible to install it as your default look and feel on a wide range of distributions, an alternative word for desktop operating system in the Linux world. Deepin does something unique that I haven't seen in any other Linux distribution I've tried, or for that matter, in any other version of Mac OS or Windows. This compels me to describe it as simultaneously sexy and sensible. I know it's an unusual combination. I won't read the whole entire thing because this is really about a unique Linux experience from a GUI standpoint. Most people who use Linux don't use GUIs anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But it does look pretty. Yeah, I guess the word "sexy" does apply to it, especially if you got a nice monitor to really display it on.
Yeah, I read it, and I was going to refer to you to describe it more. I know that he can toggle in between GUIs to make it one look better than Windows 10 and one that look identical to Mac OS. Um, per the pictures that was shown, they do look nice. I like the multicolored hummingbird, the one you tried to blow up. I like that one.
Hmm.
He also said that you can toggle through. I want to say not the word he used. To personalize the uh the user interface.
Hmm.
Then at the end, I think it was in addition to the article, it talks about how people were saying that it's spyware, but that was debunked. As far as the interface itself, judging by the photos, it was pretty. It looks nice. It looks really nice,
Hmm.
nice and intuitive.
Yeah, two words that don't really go well with Linux is intuitive.
Hmm. Hmm. They said, "Oh yeah, the dark mode. I like. I'm a big fan of dark modes.
Hmm.
I I am a big fan of dark modes. Instead of having that bright light, that bright white background blasting on you,
Hmm.
I like that you're able to put it in dark mode. I like that. I really do.
Yeah, what's interesting in the chat is that Renault Cherry says I'm a GUI minimalist.
So
He says I don't deal with pretty KDE, which is command desktop environment, known bloated ones. But Freelance is saying that Linux is very intuitive these days, and 10 years ago, not so much. I argue that it still is not intuitive, right? If you take away the GUI, I mean, what do you do with it?
it's a bunch of command line, isn't it?
Yeah. But see, that's the thing about Linux, right? It has its uses, and Windows has its uses too. The problem is people are trying to put cotton candy inside Linux where it's not really welcomed, right? The whole purpose of using Linux,
Specific users.
specific uses,
Okay, you says okay.
yeah, specific uses, because Linux can be used for a variety of things, setting up firewalls. If you use the SC Linux command environment, you can set up a router. Um, it has a whole lot. You can use it for a database. You can use it for a variety of things, and it doesn't slow down, right? And it only needs minimal CPU usage because it can be stripped down.
Yeah, he was talking about you can also set up a VPN too. Okay.
Yeah, any Linux distro you can set up a VPN.
Yeah, it looks nice though.
Yeah, it does look interesting. I guess maybe if this was compatible with like a OG5 Mac, the old cheese grater silver ones, um, that would be cool because you can kind of refurbish your Mac and actually get more usage out of it. So instead of a lot of those Macs go to the dumpster, and it's sad to for me it's sad to see good hardware go to waste. Like that pains me. I have to like look the other way when I see it getting crushed. I'm like, damn, that could have been used for like so many other things.
Like some of the stuff we're gonna talk about a little later in the show. Uh,
Okay, all
Computer
right.
power.
Let me share the screen for the next article. All right, this one is from CGETN.com. Apple infringed on Qualcomm patents, rules Chinese court. So this is China's way of getting back at America and Apple mostly, because Huawei was sued because of copying of infringement on Apple patents as well in court. So now China is taking Apple to task over Qualcomm patents.
Yeah. It, it was a software that Apple infringed on that they were saying, right? Piece of software that lets users do something with the pictures. It seems like China not letting go. They really don't like that little incident.
Well, they've been doing this for years. This has been back and forth for years. So if you go back to the Samsung case in South Korea, in the United States ruled in favor of Apple versus Samsung for the interface infringement.
Hmm.
Whereas in South Korea, they actually ruled in favor of Samsung over Apple.
I see where.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Because it's their own people, Apple's American, Samsung's South Korean.
Well, there's also state-run businesses, right? So
True. That is true.
mhm,
Yeah.
Apple should not be considered a state-run business in the United States, but it gets a lot of money from the United States government. So
Oh, okay. Mm. I see. Okay. Okay. I see why those rulings were Chinese. Okay.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't imagine this is actually hurting Apple at this point. They can't sell certain iPhones. They have to pull them off the shelves. There has to be some kind of redesign. You have to pay out. Maybe if they decide to fight it, it could cost them more money.
Mm.
There's a whole lot of areas, gray areas where this can go wrong for Apple. So I don't. I mean, obviously they have the money to fight it, but how much money are you willing to spend to fight?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it before. I know their devices are getting more expensive, and on top of everything you just said, so
Mhm.
yeah, I wouldn't touch
It,
their stock right now.
no. All right, this one is from FastCompany.com. People keep attacking Waymo's autonomous cars. So is it everyday troublemaking, or is it meaningful protest to automation? People are starting to get angry. When I landed in Phoenix, Arizona last month to be one of the first members of the public to ride in a Waymo one driverless minivan, a funny thing happened on the way to the demo from the airport. My driver explained with a guilty laugh how you could screw with Waymo cars on the road, stopping in front of them abruptly or merging into their lane to run them off the shoulder of the road. Um, Interesting. It wasn't a confession per se, but it was pretty clear from the conversation that he was speaking from experience. And it was only in that moment that I realized while I was visiting Phoenix to get a taste of the future, this local had already been confronted by it here in the present. He was offended by the very presence of robotic vehicles on the road, perhaps because his own livelihood was at stake. So it came as no surprise to learn that over the past 2 years, 21 police reports have been filed by Waymo drivers, the humans who sit in the robot cars, as an additional safety measure. To local authorities in Chandler, Arizona, where the majority of Waymo's fleet is based, a new report from the Arizona Republic describes how Waymo drivers have reported everything from case of slashed tires to throwing rocks to a drunken man stopping a Waymo van by standing unflinchingly in the middle of the street. In one case, the Waymo driver even saw a 69-year-old man waving a gun at their vehicle. Police apprehended the suspect, whose wife said he had age age-related cognitive impairment. Right. Some of these reports have actually some of these reports actually have some overlap too. The same Jeep was found running Waymo vehicles off the road 6 separate times. A total of 21 reports amassed over the course of nearly 2 years across hundreds of vehicles operating 24/7 doesn't necessarily sound like an epidemic by any means. For a point of comparison, I asked the region's public bus service about its own damage reports. Local police were contacted to deal with damage and other incidents on Valley Metro's public bus service 15 times in the last quarter alone. That's not a perfect comparison, though. The 350 buses in the data set ultimately serve hundreds of thousands of people, while Waymo early rider program served just hundreds. Waymo self-driving car technology holds the potential of eliminating millions of human jobs, even if it creates some along the way. There's no way to connect them directly, but these stories are some of the first that suggest resistance to the automated driving service. Waymo has carefully designed the experience of riding in one of his vans so that it's not scary. Heck, it's downright boring. But new technologies are aren't feared for what they can and can't do in the bubble. Technologies technologies are feared for how they may inevitably impact the world around them. People slashing tires.
Yeah. The video that they mentioned in the article, I saw that video, and it wasn't a bad. The Waymo car that they filmed was, or cars that they filmed, wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to ride in that. It was, you could tell it didn't have that human sense,
Mhm.
merging things of that nature. I would say that we should saw this coming,
Mhm.
and you're gonna be putting out a lot of people from their jobs, taxis, Ubers, Lyft, and any other job that this will disrupt that we can't think of right now. So people are going to be mad, just like when GM closed those 15,000 jobs, people were protesting. Um, this is these people's way of life. So immediately they're thinking, "Hey, you are disrupting my way of life. I don't like that. I'm going to find a way to stop it." They're going to rebel. That's like the first step in like the seven steps of not to joke about it, but um being able to reinvent yourself, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we should have saw this coming. And we surprisingly we didn't talk about it. But yeah, they slashing tires. They're correction, they're slashing way more tires.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, who really carries a knife around, right? Is it the middle class guy who works at, IBM or Bank of America? No, it's the guy who's who depends on driver delivery services.
Hmm.
It's only a matter of time, before some of these. You go to Walgreens, you go to CVS, and you see this like cashier list um, registers set up. Um, what are people going to do then? Are they going to? I mean, when they're going to destroy the machines, right? Like when ATMs came about, did you see like bank tellers going out there and pissing on ATM machines because that the ATM machine took its job?
I will say no.
I mean, you didn't see like record stores, right? Strawberries and um, what's the other one?
I know
Coconut.
which one. Yeah, yeah.
Coconut.
FYI and all that.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't see those company, people who work for those companies, trying to destroy iTunes because iTunes put them out of business.
But this is more of a physical product. I understand the ATMs were a physical product, but there's been studies that said um, the human teller jobs as much as people thought. This is going to put people out of jail. I mean, out of jail. Well, not that they're going to be in jail, but this going to be put people out of business. Now, granted, the article said because of the little article and the video, because of the little innuendos that the autonomous car cannot perform yet, such as squeezing into spaces when it's trying to merge instead of waiting a minute and a half or even missing the turn in total. Once it get that down packed, then yeah, it's on. But right now, the article said if Waymo is having these problems with their autonomous vehicles performing these tasks, these human sensical tasks, that's not okay. These human sensitive tasks, then these other car companies such as GM and Ford, how are they going to live up to their um, statements of they want autonomous vehicles on the road by 2021? They're
The
going to run to
commitment.
the, yeah, commitments. They're going to run to the same. they are as of right now issues if they don't find a way to overcome those.
Yeah, I think it's more of an infrastructure issue than anything else. The driver stack I mean, the car can drive by itself. It's just more about interference, right? So interference usually comes from infrastructure or other obstacles. That other obstacle is a yo-yo who has road rage issues. So
Yeah, just driving a Jeep.
yeah, let's go to the next article. This one is from ArsTechnica.com. Even self-driving leader Waymo is struggling to reach full autonomy. After 48 hours, we haven't seen any sign people are using Waymo service. I'll read the first paragraph. I think this is a pretty long read. The Wednesday rollout of Waymo 1, Waymo's commercial self-driving taxi service, falls far short of expectations the company itself set earlier in the year. In late September, a Waymo spokeswoman told Ars by email that Phoenix service would be fully driverless and open to members of the public, claims I reported in this article. We now know that Waymo 1 won't be fully driverless. There will be a driver in the driver's seat, and Waymo 1 is open to the public in only the narrowest, most technical sense. Initially, it will only be available to early riders, the same people who have been participating in Waymo's test program for months. This seems to be the latest sign that Waymo's technology is progressing more slowly than a lot of people expected, including Waymo's own leadership a year ago. People who have observed Waymo's vehicles on public roads in recent months report that the car is still struggling with unprotected left turns, merges, and other tricky situations. Waymo is widely seen as the industry leader. The company began working on self-driving technology in 2009, long before most other technology and car companies started taking it seriously. So if Waymo isn't ready to launch a fully driverless service after more than 18 months of intensive public testing, that should make us skeptical of claims from other companies that they'll be ready to launch fully self-driving technology anytime soon. See, I think I think it's disingenuous to think that because Waymo can't get it right that everybody else can't get it right. Waymo doesn't make the vehicle; they just make the driver stack. And GM, Ford, and Chrysler, and BMW and Volkswagen, they make the vehicle and the driver stack. So they have a leg up in the development of the vehicle because they can kind of pinpoint the vehicle all the way down to the to the wheel bearings. Waymo doesn't have that.
I think I got my articles mixed up, or um, they ran together. To me, I understand they were expecting more people to sign up for this, so they didn't have as many people sign up for it. Um,
Do people really need it though? At this point,
right, right. That's a good point. Gas powered vehicles are 99.9% of the cars on the road. So it's
hmm.
not really a only the right now. The only people that are going to do this are the first adopters, and that's a small wave for people. So that's not to say in the future people will not need to use this, especially when the laws are passed. GM, Ford, and so forth stop making sedans. That's in the future, but right now, only the first adopters are going to really be interested in this right now. The the hippies,
Oh, you mean the hipsters?
yeah, hipsters. I don't know why I say hippies. Yeah, hipsters. Yeah, hipsters.
Right, right. Yeah. All of these. I should say Waymo. I'll isolate it down to Waymo. Waymo's problem is more infrastructure than it is anything else. Because if the roads are hard to read, right? Because you don't have the proper drawings of lines in the street. Um, stop signs got bullet holes in them, like you see in Chicago and stuff like that. That makes it difficult for a autonomous vehicle like Waymo to actually operate. So if it's missing a left turn or it's missing a an intersection or something like that, that's an infrastructure issue, right? Because you it has lidar, it has all the cameras and everything else, but the problem is, um, if the infrastructure around it isn't up to the same speed, then it's going to be hard for the cameras and the lidar to actually keep pace with what the environment is because it doesn't understand it. It doesn't know how to interpret it.
Agreed, and especially when there's snow outside and these stop signs got snow on it, that the visual is even harder. So, like you said on the last article, the infrastructure needs to be built up more before they can really even start to put a dent the transportation. Yeah, in transportation.
Right, and I mean, I talk about this a lot, but and I think we talk about this on a few hangouts. Is that I think Africa would be the actual real place for development of this because the the problem is Waymo is doing everything on their side that they can, and it's still not working correctly because the environment isn't really up to snuff. Whereas if you had a company like Waymo that had $1 billion of investment and whatnot, going to a place like let's say Sudan, right? You can go from maybe, or even let's say Egypt. You can go from Egypt all the way into the Sinai Peninsula in one straight shot and create a mega highway for a Waymo vehicle where it's undeveloped. You can get a whole lot of work done out of that. And in the United States, you can't really do that, right? Because you have to deal with all types of regulation and red tape and bureaucrats and things of that nature.
Mm.
It doesn't really work. In Africa, that would work perfectly fine because you don't have to deal with snow. You don't have to really deal with, um,
Really start
yo-yo.
from scratch.
You're somewhat starting from
Understand.
scratch because you can kind of tailor the environment to the way you want it or the way it needs to be. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I thought it cut out, but it didn't. Yeah. And I agree. Because this is a new way of transportation, so it's easier to start this new way of transportation on in areas that you can, like you said, tailor it to. It's a clean slate or cleanish slate, opposed to an area that's been riding on the um, the current way of transportation for over 100 years.
Hmm. Yeah, and plus it helps Africa actually develop itself because once you have certain highways developed, you can kind of take that same highway model and repurpose it across the continent.
Great. And then jobs,
Hmm.
autonomous driving, Internet of Things, blockchain, deep learning, machine learning, all
Well,
that plays.
right, and you're right about that. But it also plays into urban planning, right? So
Mhm.
now you have the necessity to manufacture stop signs and poles and uh,
Ah,
that creates thousands of jobs on the ground for Africa.
mhm. The trickle down jobs.
Exactly,
Yeah.
infrastructure.
And go ahead.
Easy access, right? Easy access for sidewalks and wheelchairs,
Mhm.
for access for disability and stuff like that. There's all types of trickle down that can come out of just Waymo being or any self driving company, autonomous car company being in Africa right now.
And some of these African countries, not countries, wrong word, I apologize. Some of these African are estimated to be mega cities, meaning they'll have the population will be over 20 million, more they'll more than it is now in the next coming years. So that you put autonomous driving in that, then like you said, we said the city planning, the trickle down jobs, that can make that city more. livable in terms of it won't be a cluster of cars and congestion and pollution.
Yeah, and I think we covered an article last week where there was a an article about the roads being developed to have wireless charging built in,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So now you're talking about more infrastructure development, more planning, and things like that that goes into it.
Hmm. Hmm. Last week, it was last week. Yeah.
Right? You can
So.
have these. Right, you can have these bike lanes set up, and the autonomous vehicle is not going to run into the bike lane because it has that lidar, right? And now you have micro transportation for um, your millennial population that wants to, take on these ride sharing services or scooter sharing services. So
Mm,
yeah,
cool. All right. What's going on, Prem? How you doing today?
it was going to bring.
What's going on, man? So we don't. The ideal infrastructure to go ahead and do this autonomous thing would just be to start from scratch in some barren land in Africa, if I'm understanding, or one of the
It,
places. Mhm.
it would be more probable. It would be more plausible to get the technology right if you do the infrastructure with the driver stack. The driver stack is what controls the vehicle, right? In concert with each other. The problem in the United States is that you have so much bureaucratic tape to cut through, and infrastructure is decaying all over the country. You got
Hmm.
I think over 2,000 bridges in the United States are condemned, are listed as condemned. I think one bridge in Minnesota had collapsed or something like that.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, that's dangerous stuff, man. And that's due to the fact that they neglected it. In Massachusetts, in Boston, we had a ceiling tile from a tunnel actually come down on somebody's car and crush them like a pancake.
Hmm. I remember that because that was when I was building the tunnels down there.
Yeah, water got into it, into
Yeah,
the air gap, and then the
I
epoxy
remember that.
failed, right, and it squashed those Latinos in there. So
And Preem, just to piggyback on what Mike's saying, when they build these stacks, and even when these car corporations, the cars and implement the technology to test it out, they're going to test it out in a closed course, in a controlled environment that's conducive to the car functioning correctly. So they're going to build like some roads and stop signs and everything and see how it goes. Now take that and take it and apply that to an area that you can build the roads and stop signs and infrastructure that, like Mike said, is conducive to the autonomous vehicle gaining popularity and performing the correct way, compared to, like I said, a country or countries that are running on the current model of transportation for over 100 years.
it,
So it's about introducing autonomous. So introducing or bringing autonomous vehicles to like a third world country, because if they don't have roads or highways or infrastructure already in place, you're doing it from scratch. Or they may have some barren land. It could be a first world country with some type of barren land off in Amazon or something like that. But so it's two things. Is one is introducing AI vehicles to a third world country that doesn't have any type of infrastructure in place. That's my first thing. Well, how does that work? And then my second thing is, what problem is this thing? Are these vehicles actually solving? What's the need, or what's the vacancy that they're actually filling in these places, or are they just being, or are people just doing it just to go ahead and do it?
you're doing it for one because you need infrastructure. The question is it worth building infrastructure on a bare metal objective, right? So bare metal would be you find a road, you lay down some tar, some asphalt, and then you call it a day. No, that's not enough because
It's
now
cheap though. It's cheap.
it's cheap, but it's not enough when you're trying to
Future
bring
proof.
yourself. Well, not so much as future proof when you're trying to bring yourself into the 21st century, right? You're trying to become a first world power. First world development means fourth industrial investments. So
Oh,
you want to plan now so so that the next 100 years you don't have to worry about that. Part of the problem that we have in the United States, and we're seeing this in probably in Boston and Chicago and places like that, a lot of the pipes that are in the ground were put in the ground in the early 1900s. Those pipes burst. Those pipes, pipe burst cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in today's money. So now they have to replace all of these pipes in the ground in order to, reach code standards for the next 100 years. Whereas if you were in, let's say, in Kenya, and you wanted to, connect an highway from north, south, and east and west, an expressway, you would want to make sure that that infrastructure is compatible with this sort of technology that's coming, because it's coming. It's not a matter of if, if, it's just a matter of when.
So if we're talking about transportation and solving transportation and infrastructure issues or getting ready for the fourth industrial revolution, I mean, another option that I've seen on the table is one that was, Elon Musk, somebody's trying there in DC, which is that whole underground, it's like there's more room underground than it is above ground. So could that also be an option in these third world countries? If we're just talking about providing basic transportation and not doing AI vehicles for the purpose of doing AI vehicles and just a means to transport people, that's also an option too as well, right?
It would be.
That must.
It would be, but that's expensive. Yeah, right. In Africa, you can't really do things like that because now you're disrupting the environment, because you still have wild animals in areas that are under protection.
But underground though, he's doing it like underground, like a subway type of deal. So I would think that would be easier than cutting down trees and doing it above ground and building infrastructure above ground.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing right now. Is that they're building everything above ground.
Okay. And that's also an option, not a replacement for above ground transportation. It's not to say no, that's not that can't be done along with autonomous vehicles, but it's also an option. I'm sure they're going to do it, but it's just another option of transportation for people to take.
And one last thing, because I know you guys want to move on. I'm not sure if it's Dubai or not, but I know a name, and the name is probably connected to whatever the project is. The guy who got recently, last year, he was released from Alcoa. Klaus Kleinfeld, I think is his name. He's working on some project in the Middle East. It's like a billion or $1 trillion city. So these places where they're doing all these funky little things, and they're getting to the fourth industrial, fifth industrial, and they're coming all these crazy ideas and they're making them work. I mean, there's economics around it, because I mean, there's ballers and economics around it to make that happen. But I mean, could this AI cars, driverless cars, infrastructure build being done in a third world country where people are, their basic means of transportation is walking on foot? I mean, who's going to foot that bill? How is that stuff going to be paid for? Do they need it? Do they currently have transportation issues?
Well, it fits into your budget, right? So you factor in, we're going to build out we need to build out a new road. Okay, well, if we just throw it on the asphalt, will we be okay? Yeah, you would be okay. But then what happens when your country becomes fully developed? It doesn't take long for a country to go from third world to to an industrialized country like China. China in the 1970s did not have a subway system. By 2008, they had a full subway system. Between 1979 and 2005, they lifted 150 million people out of poverty. That's significant for your infrastructure development. So now you have to plan out for all of these millions of people that need to get around in these new cities that you've newly developed. And if you don't have the infrastructure in place, if you don't have urban planners in place, then what happens is you fall behind, and now you're playing catch up, and you have to reinvest more money into digging up the road and actually putting down the fiber, putting down the copper, and putting down the bike lanes and everything else.
And I'm guessing again, in these places where they don't have any infrastructure in place for these vehicles, like maybe these people they only have cars. They only have cars because if they don't have the roads, and if they don't have tar down on roads, they don't even have cars. And what I suspect would happen with the populace is like, okay, this is a cool idea. We're gonna go not from 0 to 100. We're gonna go from 0 to 1 million. Not just even put the tar and get us some cars. Just introduce us to just regular old third world transportation to get started. You're gonna take us into the next century, but then at what cost? And the people could be like, just start with something simple first, and let's start there because this other stuff is like 100x the cost. Well, I'm not sure how. Well, yeah, it's gonna be like 100x the cost of just giving us a tar road and some cars. Can we just work our way up there to that next to those other levels gradually, and just man, just get me in a hoopty first and put some tar down the road and let me get driving, and then we can worry about all the AI
Well,
other stuff later.
wait. I got to cut you off. What place don't have car or any type of semblance of two-wheel transportation?
Well, again, because this whole thing started with a hypothetical. Like, okay, it can work here. That's a reality. But hypothetically, ideal place for it to work is somewhere where they don't have any infrastructure in place. So I'm just
Name a
assuming,
place.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was what I didn't introduce that. That's what I heard. So if it's like the best place to start is where they don't have any roads, they don't have any of this third world, second world, infrastructure, tar roads, anything in place where you can start from scratch and build the grid from the ground up. Well, then that tells me they aren't already driving. If there's no infrastructure, if there's no highways there already, what are they driving on?
They're driving on dirt.
And on top of that, not
Oh,
only are they
okay,
driving
okay,
on
okay,
dirt,
okay, okay.
that
Gotcha.
still is a form of transportation. They got cars, they're driving on dirt. So why would you just lay down asphalt when they already know what transportation is. They know how to get from point A to point B using stick shift. So why would you just lay down tar and asphalt? Why don't you just jump that and come
Mhm.
to the fourth industrial revolution?
And the
Because
reason why they are laying down tar and that, if they're driving on dirt, which is uncomfortable, bust up your tires, the bumpy ride, you're in the hills and all that dust. Trust me, I've been there. I was born there. I was born in that. Why not just go? What's preventing them from laying down the tar?
Well, nothing's preventing them from laying down tar per
Mhm.
se, other than what's in the budget. But when you have a company like Waymo and you have these other autonomous vehicle companies coming out, expansion is scaling up and scaling out is a part of your business portfolio, in your 100-year projection, right? So now you need to expand into places like Africa because Africa is going to be the new by 2030, 2035. Africa is going to be the new um, place to do business. So now you start figuring out how do I get my way into Africa without pissing off the Africans? Well, I can help build the infrastructure because I'm a $1 billion company.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm. Let's move on to the next article. Um, this one is from Verge.com. Porsche and BMW unveil EV charger that's 3 times faster than Tesla's. Give you 100 kilometers of range in just 3 minutes. That's it takes
that's
me 3 minutes to
insane.
go take a piss, so I can imagine. Um,
That's a TMI.
something like that. Uh, a research, we'll edit that out. A research group with members, including Porsche and BMW, has unveiled a new 450 kilowatt charging station prototype in Germany, which has a capacity of 3 times that of Tesla's existing superchargers. Supplying that much power means that the new station built by Fast Charge Research Group could supply around 100 kilometers, 62 miles of range in just 3 minutes, or charge a BMW i3 from 10 to 80% in 15 minutes. In contrast, Tesla superchargers currently have a maximum capacity of 145 kilowatts. However, fast charge is unlikely to maintain the same lead for long. Tesla has already upgraded its network from 100 kilowatts in the past, and it plans to increase the maximum capacity of its network to 250 kilowatts next year. Unluckily, unluckily for Tesla, this upgrade still won't be enough to make it the fastest charging network in America. It recently saw the first 350 kilowatt charging station installed in California by Electrify America. Fast Charge's new station might have a high theoretical capacity, but the actual amount of power drawn by average electric vehicles is likely to be considerably less for the time being, at least until cars catch up. The prototype Porsche Taycan that was used in the demonstration, which is due to be released next year, only drew a little over 400 kilowatts, while other vehicles such as the Audi e-tron or Jaguar I-Pace can draw 150 kilowatts or 100 kilowatts, respectively. Fast Charge Fast Charge's prototype station supports cars with both 400 and 800 volt battery systems, and it will automatically pick the best one to use when plugged into the vehicle. This is a game changer. This is a big game changer.
Last week we read an article where it was talking about range anxiety.
Right, we
Now,
read that last week, right?
right, and that's what you spoke about the chargers in the road built into the road. That's where that came from.
Mhm.
Now this is like gassing up your vehicle.
That's where I was going. That's what I was going with this. So now you're talking about those gas stations that closed down in 2007, 2008 can be repurposed with these chargers. The only difference is um, most utility companies in every city and every state have rights to selling electricity. So you cannot directly sell electricity to another person without being a utility company. Depends on what the statutes of limitation are in your area, zoning laws, and so on and so forth. So this is a game changer. I'm, I got a lot of ideas out of this. I'm pretty sure Complex is watching this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to say a lot of those Tesla charging stations are at Walmart, CVS, these drugstores. Imagine you going in there, picking up what you have to pick up, waiting in line, and while all the time you're in there, you're charging your vehicle up. And by the time you get out, you done killed two birds with one stone.
Hmm.
That's,
And you also have to take in like bigger vehicles too, like you know, the Chrysler Pacifica, no, those cars that have bigger batteries,
mm,
right? Because they're bigger vehicles, but they have limited range. So the range anxiety comes from those vehicles that only have like 40 miles to the
yeah,
charge.
yeah. You did show that last week, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But still,
Hmm.
while you're outside of those vehicles that have very short range,
Hmm.
vehicles that have same range as gas powered vehicles, even more, you still go to somewhere, a store, charge up while you're in, or charge up while you're in, do your running around, and by the time you get home, you charge up.
Hmm.
So you have more now with this. Is this we're out and about these charging stations? You have multiple ways of charging instead of going to a dedicated gas station.
Yeah, this
So
is all part of infrastructure development that we were talking about in the last article. Um, you need things like this in your environment. There is no other way to get around it. The first one to implement the technology will be the first ones to use it. So
mhm, good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah, we'll move on to the next article. All right, this one is from Forbes.com. How China is dominating artificial intelligence. I, is it me or is there like a lot of pop-ups on these websites?
Yeah. There's a lot of pop-ups,
And you can't get rid of it either.
and it's an artificial intelligence pop-up.
Hate it, man. Hate it. All right. The Boston Consulting Group study Mind AI gap leadership makes. Are you kidding me? The Boston Consulting Group study Mind the AI gap leadership makes the difference. Published earlier this month provides insights into China's Emerging Global Leadership of AI. A copy of the study can be downloaded here. BCG study focuses on the key drivers of success in AI implementation and is based on a global survey of over 2,700 managers in 7 countries. Please see page 4 of the study for additional details regarding this methodology. The study found that there is a strong connection between bold disruption, friendly management styles, including activity putting AI high on the agenda, encouraging rapid development and piloting, and fostering cross-functional, agile research and development, all leading to AI industry leadership. Chinese organizations are beginning to dominate AI due to these factors combined with their shorter innovation cycles than their peer organizations. BCG found that structural improvements at the national level do play an important role in laying the foundations for AI growth. Investments in data infrastructure and research hubs and networks in higher education for IT and data related fields. We went over that Saturday on the data science hangout for Black IT Talk. Key insights from BCG study that illustrate China's rising dominance in AI include in the following. 85% of Chinese companies are active players in the field of AI, leading all 7 nations in the study. BCG defines active players as those companies making tangible progress in unlocking the value of AI in 2 dimensions. They are already moving to adopt AI into some existing processes or currently running pilot initiatives, and their effort thus far have generally been successful. China's dominance can be attributed to the new generation artificial intelligence development plan introduced in 2017, which is delivering strong results. So we see this chart right here. Chinese companies are actively setting the pace on AI. So China's leading the way at 85%, America at 51%, France at 49%, Germany at 49%, Switzerland at 46%, Austria at 42%, and Japan at 39%. Japan's a big surprise. I'm surprised that they would be last.
Mm-hmm.
Let me scroll this down. China's AI dominance reaches across multiple industries compared to the majority of nations only concentrating on a few. BCG interviewed 500 Chinese companies and found that the impact of their 2017 new generational artificial intelligence development plan is having successful cross-industry impact on AI piloting, adoption, and success with AI initiatives. Unlike in the US and other nations, China's overall lead in the race to extract value from AI is not driven by strong dominance of 1 or 2 particular industries. It's succeeding as a nation in the industry-wide phenomenon that is rooted in how Chinese managers approach AI innovation. Okay. AI pilot and adoption success is more dependent upon a company's unique strengths and matter for the industry characteristics. They thanks to thriving startup landscape, the United States is second place. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, it's predictable that it would happen. There's more investment into, like they said, into the infrastructure in places that matter, and sort of towards education.
Now, the article stated that China is pushing it. That's really the major reason why they are leading the world in AI. The entire government is behind it. As far as America, you have more startups that are behind it, more industries that are behind it, and there's a lot of those. So they help make, they help America make up second place. As far as the other countries, it didn't really state, but yeah, China, the whole entire government is pushing this.
Mm-hmm. Is Premier? No, Premier left.
And like and what did Putin say?
Whoever leads AI will lead the world. So, I mean, if China is leading in AI, and from let me go back and look at it. Yeah, Russia's not even on the list. I think Russia is probably like in the top 10, but not in the top 5.
Okay. Imagine if Russia, as a government, pushed AI.
They've already pushed it. They've invested millions of dollars into it.
Okay.
It's a matter of them getting to the top of the list, but other countries have already had a head start. So China is coming out of a coming from a different perspective, where they have the amount of money that they need to put into digital infrastructure. So AI becomes commonplace for them.
Mm, okay. Okay.
However, Africa will probably be very, very last on the list due to the fact that they don't have enough startups in education to actually propel them in that direction. Um, Most of their institutions are not really focused on that. They're really focused on like the hard traditional sciences,
Hmm.
electrical engineering, computer engineering, or civil engineering for that matter.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they AI is just not in that mix yet.
Right? You don't really include artificial intelligence and digital infrastructure until you get past the traditional phases, anyways. I mean, I think we went over this on the Black IT talk that you can't really get into cybersecurity unless you understand IT as an infrastructure and an enterprise infrastructure. I mean architecture, I should say. Sorry. Um, you don't know what you're securing because you can't secure what you don't know. Is basically what I'm saying. So you can't code for artificial intelligence in areas where you don't have basic running water and things of that nature.
Hmm.
So that form of infrastructure and education needs to be focused on first.
Okay.
All right, let's get to physics.org. Laser pointing system that could help tiny satellites transmit data to Earth. What you see here is just a new laser pointing system for a tiny satellite. Cube satellite is what they call it. New laser pointing platform developed at MIT may help miniature satellites into the high rate data game. Since 1998, almost 2,000 shoebox-sized satellites known as cube satellites have been launched into space due to their petite frame and the fact that they can handle and the fact that they can be made from off-the-shelf parts. CubeSats are significantly more affordable to build and launch than traditional behemoths that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. CubeSats have become game changers in satellite technology as they can be sent up in flocks to cheaply monitor large swaths of Earth's surface. But as increasingly capable miniature instruments enable CubeSats to take highly detailed images, this tiny spacecraft struggle to efficiently transmit large amounts of data down to Earth due to power and size constraints. The new laser pointing platform for CubeSats, which is detailed in the journal Optical Engineering, enables CubeSats to downlink data using fewer onboard resources at significantly high rates than it's currently possible. Rather than send down only a few images each time a CubeSat passes over a ground station, the satellite should be able to downlink thousands of high resolution images with each flyby. That's interesting. I'll read this one last paragraph. To obtain valuable insights from Earth observations, hyperspectral images, which take images at many wavelengths and create terabytes of data, and which are really hard for Cube satellites to get down, can be used, says Kerry Cahoy, Associate Professor of Aeronautics and Astronautics at MIT. But with a high rate laser comm system, you'll be able to send these detailed images down quickly. And I think this capability will make the whole CubeSat approach using a lot of satellites in orbit so you can get global and real time coverage more of a reality. Yeah, this is definitely a game changer.
Hmm.
Definitely a game changer. They must have figured out compression technology to compress all those images, high res images, and push them down that pipe really quickly. Um,
This is gonna make cube stat, not stat. Why say stat? Sat. Oh man, yes, I like this, man. Yeah.
mhm,
Um, I don't want to blend articles together, but this is impressive. The what they did and being able to, like you said, maybe compress those images and being able to push it, beam it down in that light.
mhm. Yeah, and I mean we've been talking about cube satellites for a minute. These micro shoebox based satellites can be built with off the shelf parts. This is another part of the game changer because obviously MIT is going to let this, they're going to let this onto the open source market. But point of the matter is, you can start building satellites in your basement and start
Hmm.
deploying them as long as you can find a vehicle that can take them up.
Yeah, that's all you need, and that's SpaceX right there.
Hmm.
Right now, that's SpaceX. Yeah.
I thought you said safe sex.
Oh no, 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 no.
Not in the brain trust.
Maybe somewhere else around the manosphere, but not here.
Hmm. Hey, what's going on, Nagone? Um,
They're gone, but a late.
yeah, let me get to this next article. All right, this one is from NewYorkTimes.com. It's a briefcase. It's a pizza box. No, it's a mini satellite. Um, Orbiting instruments are now so small that they can be launched by the dozens. Even high school students can build them. We just talked about this a few seconds ago.
Hmm.
Build them in your basement. High school students and faculty from Irvine, California, conducting tests that simulated the harsh conditions of space. Their latest tiny satellite, Irvine O2, went into orbit on December 3rd. See, they're deploying satellites, and they can barely even vote. Um, Let me read these first couple paragraphs. Recently, officials in California announced that the Camp Fire, the deadliest wildfire in the state's history, has been fully contained. The achievements was made possible through the hard work of firefighters on the ground with some help from above, a swarm of tiny orbiting satellites that represent the next phase of space age. The satellites are operated by Planet Labs, a company in San Francisco that runs the world's largest fleet of Earth observing satellites. Its craft numbered around 140. All of them carry cameras and telescopes in size most rival of a loaf of bread.
Wow.
As a group, the satellites can view the same spot on the ground once or even twice a day. Until now, commercial satellites could observe a location only weekly or monthly, if at all. The quicker pace enables the close monitoring of rapid environmental change, including fires, floods, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, hurricanes, and the efforts of such events on urban areas. You can't fix what you can't see, said Will Marshall, the company's chief executive. The campfire started Thursday, November 8th. The next day, Planet Labs team in Sacramento began streaming surveillance data to the war room where state officials coordinated the response. The governor's office of emergency services used satellite imagery to help map the fast-moving flames and determine whether individual buildings were intact, damaged, or destroyed. Director of office described the images of a described the images as a gold mine for managers and emergency teams. The situational awareness, said Brittany Zajic, head of disaster response at Planet Labs. Then the damage assessments were done neighborhood by neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm
Hello?
just scrolling down. I'm just scrolling
Okay.
down.
Okay. Okay. This industry is. Oh wait, are you done
Yeah,
reading?
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. This industry is getting cheaper. No longer are the days of these freaking school bus size not telescopes,
Satellite.
satellites,
Mhm.
and you have to pay 800 million just to make it, and then another 50 million just to send it into space. No, we making loaf of bread size satellites, many of them, and sending them into space. And on top of that, paying a portion because other people are in on it. Other people got money on it. So this is going to get cheaper. Like you said, they can't even vote, and they send it up. Now, I want to I want to say, yes, they can't vote, and they're sending these satellites up. Wow, how come black men not doing this? No, I want to come at an angle as saying even they can do it. That and in terms of they can send a satellite up. So it's now cheap to send a satellite up. These one of these CubeSats. So it can be done. You can send as many up as you can, depending on at different times. That is, depending on what you are trying to achieve. Yeah. Hey, let's do this, man.
Mhm. I've been beating the horn or beating the drum on it since Brain Trust started. That one in every three startups will
Hold on, I
be a
got mute
space
up.
startup. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, one in every three startups will be a space startup going forward from 2018 on and beyond. So I see no reason why we shouldn't be getting involved in these opportunities. I mean, I've been beating the drum like every week for the last 6 months that this is where we should be at. This is where our mindset should be. Fourth industrial revolution, all of that. So let me read the chat real quick. C Boogie Productions asks, do you think they'll let China manufacture that or U.S. based? No, you can manufacture this in your house. You can go right down to Home Depot right now and go pick up all the structural framework of a mini satellite and put it together yourself, or you can 3D print the parts. So this is a matter of where it's manufactured. You can manufacture it yourself. Well, not even tech seminars, C Boogie. The documentation is on NASA's website. We posted this maybe a month or so ago when we covered cube satellites, mini satellites. We've gone over that and we've posted the articles to that. Yeah, this is all stuff that can be done in the house. Um, if you can turn a wrench, you can you can build one of these really easy. Even with we've talked about this before, but plug and play parts like Raspberry Pis, you can easily write code in Python to actually instruct the modules to do what you need them to do, and then you take into consideration a DSLR camera from Canon or Nikon or Sony or any of these other companies. Um, a DSLR camera can actually see the moon from Earth, from any position on Earth. You can see the moon on a clear night. You put that sort of camera on a shoebox satellite, a mini satellite, a pizza box satellite. guarantee you can see a whole lot. You can see a whole lot more from above than you can on the ground. So that's where the mindset is, right? That's where the mindset is for me. Um, no regulations, C Boogie. The satellites are so small you can't really detect most of them of the time, anyways. At least from the stuff I've read, there's no real regulations to it. If you want to deploy something, there's no real um, regulations in space. It's pretty wild, wild west.
All right, I'm back. Yeah, I was hearing what you were saying about, you picking up the supplies at a Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it's to the point where outside of the price to build it, your main, well, not really outside, but your biggest price will be to get it out there, get it out in the orbit.
Yeah, you could do that with a weather balloon. I
Um,
think there's a guy on YouTube. I think we might have looked at his videos before, but he makes hobby satellites. They're like 10 feet tall,
hmm.
and no satellites get all the way up into space.
Hey, should we do this? Is you can do this on the weekend?
Um, Maybe not on the weekend, but it'll probably take you a couple months to actually do the testing and stuff like that. Paul Bryant asks, "Am I going too far to ask why can't a black tech startup build a space vehicle to place these box satellites box satellites? SpaceX can't be the only solution. SpaceX isn't the only solution. There's quite a few companies in Japan and Russia and the rest of these Southeast Asia and Eurasian companies that are actually um, doing it. They have these mini one shot rockets that go up, like an elevator. You basically pack something on there that's like a lunchbox or something like that, and it takes off and it's gone. But yeah, you're right. We should be looking at something like that. But I would look at it to be more cost efficient. Um, yeah, you can make a rocket and you can send it up really quickly. But how expensive is that, right? I think like every rocket that goes up, that's like $80 million or something like that to that effect, for a
Mhm.
delivery. That's expensive.
I see what you're saying. And then, like I said, that's your biggest cost.
Hmm. Yeah,
People do
I
it,
mean,
that'll come down.
and we talked about using like old Soviet Scud missiles. I mean, a Scud missile can actually get off the ground. That's what the North Koreans were using for a long time to get their rockets off the ground with Scud missiles.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, let me go to the next article. Uh, this one is from BGR.com. Um, Japan's asteroid rovers continue to send back amazing images of its alien surface. First couple of paragraphs. It's been a couple of months since the Japanese Space Agency deployed robots to the surface of the asteroid known as Ryugu. The Hayabusa 2 mothership sent the bots down to examine the space rock's surface and sent back readings to Earth. And we got to see images shortly after they arrived. Now, as Japan Space Agency prepares for the most daring maneuver on the entire mission, a touchdown that will allow Hayabusa 2 to snag sample of the rock's surface before heading back to Earth. The space agency is showing off more of the awesome images snapped by its rovers. The images were captured by a small hopping rovers that Japan Space Agency deemed suitable for the exploration of the asteroid. The gravity of the rock surface have would have been too low to allow real rovers. So the Japan Space Agency decided on the small rovers that actually hop from one spot to the other, snapping images along the way. The result is a whole bunch of photos of very, very rocky landscape. Japan Space Agency was actually shocked at how rocky the asteroid surface turned out to be, and the mission team has been forced to delay the touchdown maneuver already because they need additional time to decide where to land. Picking a surface, picking a safe landing spot is vital to the ultimate goal of allowing the Hayabusa 2 probe to lift back up off the surface and eventually come back to Earth. Any damage to the spacecraft during its landing would put it in serious jeopardy. Interesting.
Mm, 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 mm.
Hmm. You have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I think we covered this before. The name sound familiar.
We did.
Yeah, yeah. It was the rocket that couldn't jump too high, or else it'll lead a asteroid. Um, the images it brought back is looks nice.
Hmm.
They're a nice rocky asteroid.
Hmm. What chance has NASA? This one is from the BBC.com. What chance has NASA of finding life on Mars? Uh, it's not that long of an article. This The six-wheel robot is due to touch down on the red planet in 2021, with the specific aim of trying to identify evidence of past biology. It will be searching for clues. When was this article produced? Okay, last week. It will be searching for clues in rocks that are perhaps 3.9 billion years old. Confirming life on Earth at that age is tough enough, but Mars may have better preservation, says the researchers. It comes down to the dynamic process of our home world that constantly churn and recycle rocks, processes that can erase life traces, but which shut down on the red planet early in its history. We don't believe, for example, that Mars had plate tectonics in the way Earth has had most of its history, said Ken Williford from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. Most of the Earth's rock, most of the Earth's rock record has been destroyed by seduction under the ocean crust. But even the rock left at the surface, even the rock left at the surface is heated and squeezed in ways it might not have been on Mars. Let me see if I can just go through this image real quick.
um, the way they figured out how to. Hello.
Yeah, we had just looking at the video.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's a long commercial.
Yeah, it was common. You would need something like a caterpillar or some kind of worm-based robot that can actually burrow itself through the ground. If that makes any sense to you.
Now I wonder how hard the ground is.
It's supposedly soft.
Okay, that makes it a whole lot easier.
That's why the rovers keep getting stuck, right? They keep getting stuck in these pits.
That's right. We did cover that. We did cover that. They were waiting for it to that big planet-wide storm covered it.
That takes a lot of it takes a lot of planning to actually develop a rover that's going to traverse that actual path that you have designated for it. Mostly because you what you think is up there is not actually up there, or may not be actually up there. So that's kind of the point that I'm making. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. All right, this one is from FoxNews.com. NASA makes amazing discovery on asteroid Bennu. The mosaic image composed of 12 polycam images collected on December 2nd, 2018, and provided by NASA shows the asteroid Bennu. Scientists have made a fascinating discovery on asteroid Bennu thanks to NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. Recently analyzed data from the probe has identified water lock inside the asteroid's clay, the space agency has announced. The spacecraft's two spectrometers revealed presence of hydroxyls, which are molecules containing oxygen and hydrogen atoms bonded together. While Bennu is while Bennu itself is too small to have ever hosted liquid water, the finding does indicate that liquid water was present at some time on Bennu's parent body at a much larger asteroid. The asteroid may the asteroid may provide answers to origin of our solar system, according to the space agency. The presence of hydrated minerals across the asteroid confirms that Bennu, a remnant from early in the formation of the solar system, is an excellent specimen for the OSIRIS-REx mission to study the composition of primitive volatiles and organics, said Amy Simon, OSIRIS-REx visible and infrared spectrometer, deputy instrument scientist. That's a long title. When samples of this material are returned by the mission to Earth in 2023, scientists will receive a treasure trove of new information about history and evolution of our solar system. So it's pretty interesting. I know Jenkins. You have anything you want to add to this?
Um, it always interests me when scientists say some of these asteroids can give them a glimpse onto how our galaxy was made. I'm not a astrophysicist, but I'm interested to know how they do that. They said this asteroid doesn't have water per se. It's just the molecules that make up water is in the rock. So because of that, they think bigger asteroid that held water. So now you have asteroids that's holding water out there. Um, and also we're seeing more and more stories, or not stories, reports and articles about asteroids.
Hmm.
They're discovering these asteroids, not discovering them, but they're going to these asteroids heavily and seeing what's up with them, what's going on, what are their properties, what do they hold, iron, are they soft, carbon, what the case may be.
And,
Yeah,
and they don't always specify that it's water. They just say it's liquid, right? So they don't typically know what exactly is on there from a substance standpoint. They just know that some kind of liquid is up there, but no telling what kind of liquid it could be. I mean, those things travel miles and miles and miles, right? Thousands of millions of miles, billions of miles for that matter, and they pick up things as they go along, and depending on where they came from, they may be containing something that could be very, beneficial to people on the ground.
yeah, it could be yellow liquid. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. All right. This one is from Forbes.com. With Virgin Galactic's latest flight, has space tourism finally arrived? Pop up, Smith. On Thursday, pilots Mark Stuckey and Frederick Struckel became the first humans to reach outer space from an American launch since the last space shuttle mission in 2011. It was a major milestone for Virgin Galactic.
Ha.
It was a major milestone for Virgin Galactic, which has been aiming for this day since it was founded in 2004. Though more test flights remain, the company looks on track to carry its first paying customers into suborbital space in 2019. Those customers would be the first space tourists since 2009, when Russian space agency took billionaire um, Suruku Sukru du Soleil,
Uh,
co-founder, guy.
no, that's Cirque du Soleil. You ever been to the circus? He's the founder of Cirque du Soleil.
Okay, Cirque du Soleil. Okay, to the International Space Station. In the year that followed, the Russian agency canceled its tourism program due to expanded new crew sizes on the ISS. Virgin's customers won't need to be billionaires, but they will need to have access to good amount of cash, as it's selling its tickets at $250,000. In the years since 2009, there has been a lot of talk among space enthusiasts that commercial spaceflight could get people into space soon, but it turned out to be slower going to going. Excuse me. It turned out to be slower going than some expected. Companies sprang up try Companies sprang up to try and fill the need. Some, like Escor's Aerospace, ended up out of business. Others shifted focus from crew space flight to satellite and specific scientific payloads. Virgin Galactic itself suffered a major setback when the first spacecraft was destroyed during its test flight in 2014, killing one of its pilots. I remember that. You have anything you want to add to this, Lionel?
Yeah. A few months ago, I want to say 2 months ago, I wrote an article that said somewhat the same thing about Richard Branson's uh, Virgin Galactic in that also, and how they were really close to um, this orbital space flight tourism.
Hmm.
Now we're hearing that they already sold a ticket to people to the International Space Station for what was it, 35 minutes? The trip around the moon. I forgot which one, but still, astronauts are not going to be as um, exclusive club in the future. Now it's just going to be, hey, I went to space too. You know, but this is interesting. They are shooting for a price tag of $250,000, $250,000, but tying in the other article we read a couple of months ago that as more people sign up, which per this article, more people are, they want to see their price tag come down to around $50,000. It's still a lot of money, but it's not $250,000. That's $200,000 less. Um, I would definitely do this, to be honest. You
You
know,
know, need a lot
that's
of Bitcoin for that.
yeah, I would, I would, but I would go to the International Space Station. You know, I think that's why I cut it off at.
Oh, really?
But yeah, the what's the opposite of claustrophobic? When it's just too much space, you feel. I can't remember, but for me, flying all the way out there to the moon, I think I freak out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, did they say how long it takes to get out there?
To the space tourism orbit.
Yeah, space tours in orbit.
I don't think they did. I don't think I haven't heard anything that mentioned it.
Yeah,
Now, would you do it? Do it?
probably not. Probably not. I want something more tangible, right? I want to get to Titan.
But to go to Mars or something?
I beg your pardon?
My bad. Like what, to go to Mars or something?
No, to Titan. I said Titan.
That's way out there, dude. That's way. I would definitely not. You'll be, hey, hey man, hey, I'm making that long, expensive phone call. Hey man, how you doing? Extremely far, too far. Now, why Titan?
No one's been there yet.
And, I mean, I understand being the first, but nah, not me. Mm-mm.
Imagine that you take a red, black, and green flag and you plant it on Titan, the first Negro in space.
Oh man, like the homeboys, not nah. I couldn't do that, man. That's, I know it's a family show, but that's really far, man.
Hmm.
Golly, boy. Mm, mm.
Yeah, why don't we check the chat and see what's popping in there? What are these guys talking about?
On Paul Bryant. Yeah, yeah, there would be a heck of a collect call. I'd rather pay the collect call than go on a trip.
Yo, somebody got to do it, man.
Hey, ain't gonna be me.
Hmm.
You have a collect call from Mike around Mars. What's going on here?
Around Titan, you mean?
No, like you passing Mars. You slingshotting around Mars.
I don't know if you slingshot around Mars. I think you slingshot around the moon, but not around Mars. I think
Hmm.
that's a typical path.
Then 6 months later, you have a call from Mike going through asteroid belt.
It'll probably kill a lot of the conscious community because since they think that the Earth is flat, the flat earthers. So.
Oh my God. You know what? We should invite some of them to our space.
Well, they don't think we exist because the Earth is flat. So
Oh boy. They call us the globe heads.
you're right. The only globe charters they know is come out of Harlem. It's about the extent of their journey.
Hilarious.
Yeah, you have anything you want to bring up?
No, no, that was it. I saw that. I thought about the other article we covered a while
Hmm.
ago. Yeah, what's going on, Ray on Cherry? Complex, butter lay, anti gravity. What's going on, the whole crew?
Yeah. I don't know. C Boogie brings up a point. And I would say Paul Bryan as well. About building these mini spacecraft, mini satellites, and actually launching them. I think Paul Bryant brought that up. You know, that's stuff that can actually be done by black men. I think we covered an article before about 3D printed rockets, right?
Yeah, the metal one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Man, I would most definitely. I would. I really want to do it. To be honest, I really want to do that.
There's
Uh,
actually mhm.
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that there's actually a class on EDX for intro to space exploration or space observation or something to that effect.
Oh, I'm there. I'm there.
It's a free
I'm
class.
there. Oh, I'm definitely there.
Yeah, but you know what? Why don't we look this up? We have time till 10 o'clock. So I think I found it. All right, let me share my screen. My screen froze. All right, so this is the EDX site with 83 results matching for space. But I what I found was engineering the space shuttle. I think that's a very um, relevant from MIT. Let me click on it and see if I can pull it up. So this is what you'll learn: the fundamentals of system engineering, how a major technical program gets governmental approval, design of human space flight systems, operation of complex space flight systems. This is actually really good.
Hey, we have found something here.
Say that again.
I said we may have found something here. That's really man.
Yeah, in session started September 25th, 2018. Learn all about world's first reusable spacecraft, the space shuttle, from the very people who designed, built, and operated it for 30 years. This is from MIT. This course is free. And what I'll do is I'll drop that in the chat. Where's the
Man, I'm gonna put this on a list of class things to do. I like on classes to take. You know what I'm talking about.
we gotta finish the other ones first, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm gonna put it on a list. Knock them all down. Knock them all down. That's super interesting, man. I love space. Oh, I didn't mention the Neil deGrasse Tyson astrophysics for people in a hurry on Audible.
Okay.
Man, he really started at the beginning. It's read by him, but he really starts at the beginning of the universe. I'm talking about a trillionth of a second after that. He talks about the trillionth of a second after the the bang. This happens and da da da. Da. But it's really good though. It was really good.
Look at this other one I just discovered here. Space mission design and operations. Learn the concepts used in the design of space missions, manned or unmanned, and operations based on professional experience of the lecturer. The course focuses on conceptual understanding of space mechanics, maneuvers, propulsion, and control systems used in all spacecraft. You will gain knowledge of the challenges related to the use of the space environment as a platform for scientific and utilitarian purposes. What you'll learn: fundamental laws of mechanics and orbital mechanics,
Ooh,
orbital maneuvers,
I
types
like
of
that.
space missions and their objectives, space environment, general concepts of space vehicle architecture, propulsion, attitude, determination, and control, onboard systems, risk management, and reliability, key design elements for successful missions, in particular related to human spaceflight. This course is free.
Hmm. Yeah, drop that in the chat. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna put these on a list,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna look up on edX too, see if I see anything else. Excuse me.
Yeah, it looks to be about it. I think the MIT course and that other course I linked is probably the most concrete foundational places to start. I hate this mouse pad. Um, Look at that, human space flight and introduction. Introduction to space engineering. That's what I was looking for. Introduction to aerospace engineering, astronautics, and human space flight. That's archived, but it's still available. Well, actually, yeah, it's still available. What you'll learn: the principles of how rockets work, how spacecrafts move in orbit, what is required to keep astronauts alive and healthy in space, basic concepts of safety and risk management, the effects of weightlessness on the human body, how to carry out a spacewalk.
Hmm. The instructor is a former NASA astronaut.
Yeah, they probably have nothing else better to do since they can't get up in space anymore. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, so I think we knocked everything down, at least in the docket, and added additional resources to the chat. And no one seems to be saying much. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Richard Dixon says future projects going to do VR app and Cube satellite. Yeah. Imagine using the VR app to actually control the satellite.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, excuse me, the ideas we talk about now are good. Imagine the ideas when it all happens.
Hmm.
That's that's the good stuff right there.
Yeah, I think for a startup, I mean that high school. I mean, obviously they have additional resources. You have a laboratory, you have all types of tools and access to reasonable use or resources from wherever they get it from. Students
Hmm.
aren't paying for anything, so when you think about it from a startup perspective, you have to think about where you're going to build it. Um, I know GM is closing down factories, but can those places be repurposed for that? Can they be
Hmm.
retooled for that? Um, what else? How much are you going to invest into that? Are you going to get power from the grid, or are you going to use solar panels on the roof to avoid, dealing with the grid?
Yeah, a lot of things going to play, but what about repurposing those? I know we spoke about this before, repurposing abandoned buildings or old buildings for um, space observation.
You do that in the country, but not in the city, because
Yeah,
you have light pollution, right? So light pollution
yeah.
becomes a problem unless you're going to, you know, use it for like administrative purposes, and then put your observation centers in places in Africa that are unutilized and stuff like that. You can. There's some stuff. I'll bring us some stuff offline. I won't put it. I won't put everything out there on the Hangout because But yeah, there's a lot that comes with that. There's a lot that comes with that. When you think about urban space development, you can't really see much because of light pollution. So you're mostly just doing that for research and development purposes. You're
Hmm.
building stuff in house, and then you're shipping it off to the next site
Yeah.
because your concentration of your human capital, right? Your people who are going to come to work are going to be from the city. So, but where you actually do your deployments, that's another thing. Because you can't deploy from you can't launch from the middle of the country. You notice that
No.
most of your launch pads are on the coastal lines,
Hmm.
Cape Canaveral and all these other places.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff tonight. Definitely good stuff tonight.
Yeah, something to think about. Take down notes and things like that. I think
Hmm.
that we can do something like this going into 2019. Kind of a technology co-op.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
we can get like 10 brothers to put up, like a G a piece, and we can do the research and development on that. That
I'm,
would be groundbreaking.
I'm there. I'm there, man. I'm there, man. I'm there.
Wait, not a thousand XRP tokens, but
Hey, you caught me off guard with that. You caught me off guard with that. That's funny. I like that. But I'm still there, man. I'm still there. Oh my god, it was funny.
oh, Abdullah has something to say. He asks, would light pollution be a problem even with quality satellite? Yeah, you don't want any sort of interference, light interference. You notice most of your observation centers are not in the city; they're actually out in the country,
Hmm.
or they're on mountaintops and stuff like that. Look at Latin America with their rugged mountaintops and stuff like that. There's a lot of space observation centers down there. I think China even has a space program in is it Argentina or maybe Uruguay?
But those are the best places on mountains because it's closer to obviously space, the less distortion.
Right.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know too many places in Africa that have high mountaintops that you would want to put something like that up on there, but
Well, you got
you probably don't need it, right? Because you have so much vast land to choose from.
yeah, yeah, you got a point, but there are still, in case people want to, a person will want to put it on the mountaintop. There are mountain ranges in Africa.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. But thank everybody for coming out. I think tonight was a great hangout, and we will see you on Wednesday, episode 111.
All right, check y'all later.